Hello, my name is Valerie Sandowicz, and I'm at Center Street School. And I teach 5th grade. I've been excited about this Cotsen journey since the very beginning. I remember when our principal Martha said we have this opportunity, Cotsen's considering us as a school, and I did some research and I thought, oh my gosh, this is a perfect fit for me. This gives me an opportunity to really grow in my craft as a teacher, and I really hope that this is a possibility. And I was a nervous wreck during the lesson observation, I'm sure you can agree, and the interview process. And I was not exactly sure what they were looking for, but I was hoping that it would work out. And it did, and I am so grateful for this opportunity. And my math practice has really gone to the next level. So that first year was really about shedding and accepting all the things I liked about my program, and getting rid of the things that weren't working or updating things that needed to be updated. I started taking stock of everything and going to the lab days, the school visits, my time planning with Sue Kim, my mentor, all were a huge part in starting that process. And then I started to understand how the coaching cycle worked and making sure that I got everything out of it. I even joined Twitter, which is something I thought I would never do, right? But it gave me an opportunity to really let the inner geek in me come out and follow the math legends out there and local and other math teachers, probably a lot of you sitting in this room, seeing how great they were doing and what they were doing in their classes. And then I started to analyze myself, of course, doubt myself, wonder if I was ever going to be like any of the teachers that we were seeing in the classrooms, or maybe having like a smidge of knowledge that our experts, Joan and Nick, had. Cotsen has this ability to bring the best of the best together in a situation where it's a small group, as you know. It gives teachers opportunity to ask that expert questions right then and there, and you really feel like you can transform things even in that minute. And I think that just stopping and thinking about that is just amazing. So that first year, I asked my students in the beginning of the year, so are you a mathematician? And many of them said, no. And I thought, oh my gosh. But they were locked into, if they didn't get the answer right, they weren't a mathematician. So we, of course, did a lot of work and we took risks. We talked about what it meant to make mistakes, and we analyzed our mistakes, we celebrated our mistakes, and we became flexible thinkers. I even pretended to do the splits in front of them one day to show them how flexible I was with my thinking, just to kind of jar them. Sue was there for that moment. Making fun video too, it's super embarrassing. So that first year, we really grew together. And so what was happening, they were becoming flexible with their thinking. And they were realizing it was about the process and not the answer. And a lot of the time, we didn't even talk about the answer because they realized it was really about the process instead. And that's when I said, wait, that's happening to me. I'm realizing this is about the process and this is the journey, and I am where I am right now. And it was really cool to see that we were having that similar experience. So then in year 2, I really embraced number talks. And kind of what I misheard, my number talk lasted like 5 minutes. And I don't know how Sue sat through the pain of collecting data and information past minute 15. I'm sure she was in her head saying, stop, cut, you have enough data, they have enough information. But then I started to reflect and realized that I needed a timer, so I set a timer for myself, changed things. And I really started loving number talks. And more importantly, my students started loving number talks. And so it's pretty common that after the number talk ends in my class, several students come up and continue talking about their math thinking in that moment, or they want to revise what they were thinking. Or later on in the day or later in the week, I get notes that tell me how their math thinking was pushed in certain areas. And so I'm constantly seeing their aha moments in their transformation. And it's very powerful because they know that I care about their thinking, and they know that their peers care about their thinking. So I don't think the number talks would have gotten there if Sue wasn't in my room, because it's those small nuances with the mentor fellow that she just really knew exactly where we were, and she's equally invested in my students. It's priceless to have somebody in your room that cares just as much about your kids as you do. And even though this journey is coming to an end soon, you will be missing my texts of the number talks, their strategy work, and my favorite math quotes of the week, but I will not go cold turkey. I'll let it come, I'll pull back slowly for you. And then I wanted to share a time that Joan Cakes was in my room for a lab day, and she came up with this beautiful word problem about making brownies and sticks of butter. So the kids had to figure out how many sticks of butter to use, and when it was the strategy reveal time, they were trying to figure out how many sticks, and this very enthusiastic mathematician in my classroom, Marco, said, it's a third of a stick of butter, and the kids are thinking, what is he talking about? And they're very safe, and they're going back and forth, and they're having conversations, and he goes, okay, hold on. Imagine this is the invisible butter over here, and they all went, oh, and that became a phrase in my room, and I kid you not, this week, there was somebody, they were having their discussions with their partners, and somebody says, Tristan says to Lucas, you remember a third of a third? He goes, oh yeah, you're right. And this is like 5 months later. So these intentional problems and all this hard work really does impact them. And that same day, later in the day, we were doing social studies and they were setting up some serving cups for something for social studies. And I said, wait, hold on. And I said, let's write an equation for this. And they literally were okay with, all right. And they stopped and they wrote an equation about everything and had a discussion. And it just happens naturally. They just really, they're so comfortable with each other and they want to learn. And, you know, they're going into 6th grade, so that's not always the case. They've really showed me how much this journey has meant to them. So I'm going to end with this. Back in year 1, our mentor, Sue, gave each of us a bracelet that says WWJD. And she wrote a little note on it, and it said, as you're learning to listen to your students, and when you get stuck, stop and think, what would Joan do? I didn't know Joan would be here this morning, so I'm so glad she was here. And that really, truly helped me in those moments. I would be thinking, what is that next good question? I'm stuck, how can I push through thinking? And so I would remember that. And then in the coaching cycle, I would ask, what would you do, Sue? But now that time has gone on, I'm still asking, what would you do? But I'm now asking myself that question because I've learned so much on this journey. And I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Cotsen and the Cotsen Foundation and all the support group, our group over here from Center Street. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Thank you.